Welcome back to mFiles Process Maps. In this session we will present different aspects of home screen configuration. You will learn how to integrate your process maps statically or dynamically as additional elements to the mFiles client user interface. Process Maps delivers in-context guidance right within the mFiles user interface, offering an alternative user experience that supports visual thinkers. The idea is that your process map is displayed in a tab when the user finds himself in a specific situation. You can use this mechanism to show business process maps, tips, rules and guidelines, or alternative menu structures. To proceed, you will require appropriate mFiles admin permissions for the vault. There are currently two ways to set up tabs. You can manage the process map user interface in mFiles admin as a system administrator via the configuration entries in the Other Application mFiles Process Maps section, or directly as a Vault administrator via the Save and Configure dialog in the Process Maps Designer. For this you need the rights Full Control of Vault, Manage Common Views, or Manage Workflows. As a Vault administrator or mFiles user with appropriate permissions, you can use the Save and Configure dialog in the Process Maps Designer to set up home screens. In this dialog you will find multiple options to configure the circumstances under which the map shall appear. Let us look at the different options. The Show with View tab allows to show the map in the Process Map View tab if certain views are opened or selected in the mFiles client. You can select a view, specify the name of the tab in mFiles, and define some display options. Since central home screens are opened, initialized, and shown very often, it makes sense to think about their loading speed. Think about if you need interactivity on the map at all. If you don't want to show the home map all the time, you should not set the focus and switch to lazy loading. So when the meta card, pinboard, or preview is switched to the front and you re-enter the home screen, the map is not loaded and not put to focus. It just serves as an option for the user to inform themselves. This results in faster navigation, and you could, for example, type in search queries right away. If your map is just a design element for the vault, then you could switch to a setting where you have an SVG shown instead of a map. If you want interactivity, you may reduce the number of objects and links. Create a small map and allow jumping to menu screens that then carry many more options. This way, the initial loading time is reduced, and loading is invoked with a click. This feels a lot faster. If you want the nice combination of showing a home map as SVG with optional interactivity, then the Make Interactive option provides speed and command access when needed. You can then use the Make Interactive button in the static SVG map preview to activate the fully functional map viewer only when needed. You can of course set up a home screen for not just the home view, but for every view you set up in mFiles. This requires just the name of the view that you wish to display the map for. If you activate the persistent checkbox for a map assigned to the root view, it will be displayed as a static tab in every view of your mFiles vault. If you assign the map to a specific view, this option will cause it to be displayed in all subviews or virtual folders below it. Or activate the Show on Selection option to display the map when a view in the client is simply selected and not yet open. Since these configurations are stored in the central named value storage, you must log out and log in again to test the stored settings. Of course, the normal authorization rules of mFiles objects apply here, so make sure that your users have the necessary permissions to display the process maps. There is another dynamic way to display process maps in your mFiles user interface. To do this, you can use the Show with Workflow tab in the Save and Configure dialog. With so-called workflow tabs, you can display a process map depending on the status of an object selected in the mFiles client. For example, to offer additional information or overviews that are not required in another process status. Think of this as work step-related guides. In this way, you can display a different map for each status to make your workflow even clearer during processing. Do not confuse this functionality with workflow maps. These are opened directly with the corresponding workflow and do not need to be assigned. Let us look at how that works. Open the tab Show with Workflow in the Save and Configure dialog. Select the workflow, specify the status in which the tab is to be displayed in mFiles, assign a name to the tab, and define the speed and display options as mentioned before. Once again, save your changes and test them in the mFiles client after you have logged in again. If you search for a suitable object and change its status, your process map should now be displayed according to the chosen settings. Finally, we have the option to show maps based on the class of a selected object. The Show with Object Class tab in the Save and Configure dialog allows you to view the map in the Process Map View tab when objects are selected that correspond to the selected object class. Think of this as class-related guides or descriptions for the usage of a special class and its metadata. You can select an object type, specify the class in which the tab is to be displayed, assign a name to the tab, and define the speed and display options that we have discussed before. Then click on Add to assign the map to all objects with this class. Save and check in the map. By doing this, objects can be quickly linked to maps, depending on which view, workflow status, or class they belong to. One note of caution: speed is important. It therefore is best practice to use lazy loading by default. And if you only have information to read and you do not expect much interactivity, go with the SVG option.